I'm Paul Levinson, and welcome to Light on Light Through, episode 268, my review of Severance, episode 1.7, and there are plenty of spoilers ahead, so be forewarned. I thought this was an excellent episode. It was entitled Defiant Jazz, and that's a fine title, which comes from the scene in this episode in which Helly is rewarded for her fine work with a music and dance time. Right, this is what this weirdo organization does, and she chooses a song, a recording called Defiant Jazz. And while that is playing, Dylan attacks Milchick, biting him in the arm. So, again, a good episode titled Defiant Jazz, but I would have gone with, quote, overtime contingency, unquote, for the title of this episode, because we find out that's what happened last week to Dylan when his Audi was awoken in the middle of the night at home. And the name for that outrageous intrusion is overtime contingency. And since just about everything in the Severance creation of innies and outies is an outrageous intrusion on the people severed, even though the hype, which Mark bought into, is that it brings peace of mind, that title, Overtime Contingency, would have worked very well for this episode. And the episode was packed with all kinds of other discomforting goodies. Let's see. Mark meets the woman who undid Petey's severance. She tells Mark that Petey died, not from the reintegration, but because he didn't follow the prescribed recovery procedure, whatever exactly that is. And this woman kills the head of security, Grainer, good riddance, and gives Mark his ID card. Back on the severed floor, Dylan has his best night biting Milchick, and so does Irving, telling off Milchick because Irving is upset that Bert is retiring. You know, if I was the writer, I probably would have named Irving Ernie, Bert and Ernie. And why is Bert retiring? Probably because the board is aware of his and Irving's budding relationship. And the board doesn't want to see that happen. And just for good measure, the board wants to see Harmony, quote, next week, unquote. Presumably that would be in next week's episode. I hope so. Though time does proceed in an odd way in this series, which adds to its unsettling edge. In any case, I'll see you back here next week with my review of the next episode of Severance. And I hope you enjoyed that review of Severance 1.7. I will be back here next week with my review of Severance 1.8. And much sooner than you'll expect, I'll be back here with a review of the new episode of Star Trek Picard. And then a review of a new episode of The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. So lots of exciting things happening here. Stay tuned. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay sound, and do what you can to help those brave people of Ukraine fight off the Russian invasion.
The Light on Light Through podcast.
Athens, 2042 AD. She ripped the paper in half, then ripped the halves, then ripped what was left again into bits and pieces of history that could have been. Sierra Waters had read once that, years ago, it was thought that men made love for the thrill, while women made love for the sense of connection it gave them.
Curled Up with a Good Book says, Sierra Waters is sexy as hell. You can find out more about The Plot to Save Socrates by Paul Levinson at theplottosavesocrates.com.
Paul Levinson Silk Code about an ancient biotech war raging on in secret for centuries.